I'm gonna explain how XDefiant can, maybe, might, I think probably will, not only compete against Call of Duty, but be the first game to completely bend it over, and I'm gonna explain why that may be true. Let's get into it. Look, everybody realizes Call of Duty is a game that no matter how dissatisfied people are with it, it will not die. It's like the Jason Voorhees of video games. Every year it comes back in a new iteration like a freaking zombie with people huffing massive amounts of copium. It's like, oh, this time the game is being made by this studio or that studio. This time it's Treyarch game. Oh, Treyarch will come back and do it right. Whoops, never mind, it is screwed up, and this cycle never ends. That is the COD cycle. This game is like a flatline patient living off an IV bag of hopium based on brand name nostalgia from titles that came out at least 10 years ago. It's lame and pathetic at this point. The marketing team for this game is like a GM player carrying his scrub gold teammates in a carny rigged game of Overwatch 2. Footsteps leave massive thuds, like a stomping herd of elephants that can be heard through 10 walls if a player attempts to move around the map. To not get vaporized immediately, you gotta sit there and cower in their quote unquote safe spaces behind 2 or 3 claymores like a game of Dying Light, crouched in a corner guarding a doorway. Because of the thick skill based matchmaking, casual play in Call of Duty nowadays devolves into sticking a Simtex on your own forehead for 20 minutes straight in an attempt to game the system just to realize 2 or 3 people in the lobby already had the same idea. Not that it matters or anything. Gunfights take so little skill and are so random, at least in the Infinity War titles that have came out recently and even in the past, that the worst player in the game could spray bullets all over the place like a slot machine and just introduce kill streak with one shot to the pinky toe. Why people still play this game in 2023, I swear, should really be something that psychologists research about decades from now. It's like a social experiment in self-inflicted misery. Nobody enjoys this game anymore. They haven't for years. COD players are like those abused women on the Maury Povich show who stick with their a-hole boyfriend or whatever because the times they are treated well. In COD's case, like I said, the last time was at least 10 years ago. It's like, honey, the last time he even took you out for a date was 2012. Get over this guy. But the game persists, and it's still the top selling game every single year. So how can XDefiant, a game made by Ubisoft, which is a much smaller developer, succeed when so many before it have failed? And nowadays, even uttering the words COD Killer is like a meme at this point. Let me explain how this might be possible. See, on February 5th, as I've said in a previous video, Mark Rubin jumped on his Twitter page and just out of nowhere threw this massive haymaker at Call of Duty. BAM! And then said, "What you gonna do about it?" And everyone's jaw hit the floor. Like they've never seen that ever happen. That a competitor just came out and just took a straight up shot at Call of Duty like that. I mean, Call of Duty as a game is like a schoolyard bully. I mean, they took Titanfall and spammed 3, count them 3, futuristic Call of Duties in a row, just pounding them to submission until they just smother them. And it's like now we just got some random Duty Soft game that got laughed at a year ago for putting Tom Clancy's name in the game, making him roll around his grave like probably so hard that it could power a large city. I mean, it was a marketing disaster. But they've redeemed themselves since then. They're making waves. They're making a splash. I mean, seriously, this tweet that Mark Rubin made, or at least these series of tweets here, they should be engraved on a stone tablet somewhere. I mean, this should be like something, to me, it's like religious. I mean, he preached the gospel of no skill based matchmaking in a casual game, along with a working rank mode, and had players from like every shooter coming down from the hills to join the congregation that this started. I mean, just look at this. Here, I'll read a bit of it for you. When you play a game using strict skill based matchmaking, you are playing with and against a group of players that are, for the most part, just like you. They have a similar skill level and probably play in a similar way as you. And on paper, that sounds kind of fair. And you would be right if strict competition is your goal. And I'm fine having that kind of experience in ranked mode where there is a goal and reward for playing competitively. But would you watch football if there were no standings, no playoffs or Super Bowl? Ranked exists for a reason, to give players who want to push themselves competitively a place to do so and be rewarded for it. But when it comes to casual play, I don't think this is the right experience. Glory, hallelujah, brother. But that's not all. Look at this map. Does that look familiar? Nice 3-lane maps, cover and power positions in logical places. The map's a reasonable size overall. It's not the size of a small country with all kinds of buildings and flank routes and safe places all over the place. You know, those kind of things have not existed in Call of Duty for a long time. And because the developers are different nowadays than the ones that created the COD games that were good, I guarantee you, you're never going to see that again. At least not in Call of Duty. You will in this game, but you won't in Call of Duty. It's time to move on. And take a look at the visuals. Yes, it kind of looks like a bunch of paint cans exploded. I realize that. But at least it has some form of color and visual appeal, that not 50 shades of brown and gray. I can see enemy players on the map and be able to distinguish them and tell them apart from my teammates. Recent CODs don't even have that half the time. Imagine for a second, you never knew XDefiant existed, and I told you the gameplay in front of you was Black Ops 5, and then I told you this was coming with the rank mode and no skill-based matchmaking, well, in casual game modes. Hell yeah, if you're a COD fan, you're going to be hyped for this game. Get real for a second. Now, you know what this game is. I know what this game is. Mark Rubin was a former COD developer. You don't even have to play this to immediately know what's in front of you here. Look at the gameplay. It's Call of Duty, but it has a different name, and it's not trash. Now that I've said that, it's okay to cry on somebody's shoulder, okay? A COD game is coming out, and this time, it's not going to be dog water. No troll. And hey, this too, it's going to be a live service game. And it's free to play. They're not just going to make this game and a year later just be like, oh, well, psych, that game's obsolete now. The new Call of Duty is going to come out. They're going to keep supporting this game going forward. So, just trust me on this. It's time to leave Call of Duty and go over to this game. We got you here. Peace out, everybody.